Yes.
Pyrex and microwave in
I'm
the
out
whip.
here,
You
you
probably
heard?
think I'm baking cake when I'm working the whip. You probably think it's Pyrex.
Whole lot of shots followed after I bust your snot box. Witness a rock bottle. Shoot the fair one, mono the clown. I pull it.
Welcome to Senior Basketball Analyst. The second game on ESPN tonight was the Minnesota Timberwolves at Los Angeles facing off against the Lakers. This was a nail biter. It looked like the Lakers had it in hand, and Minnesota just stormed back at the end, all on the strength of Ricky Rubio. And you got to take your hat off to this kid. I'm going to be talking about him a lot during this video because he controlled the game with pacing, with mid-range jump shooting. It was a very professional performance, and it really speaks to the work that this kid put in over the summer. So I'm going to be talking about him a lot. But first, I want to talk about the historic nature of this game. So there was a lot of things going on in the pregame, and if you're not following me on Instagram, you should be, because I posted a lot of this on Instagram in terms of the tribute to Flip Saunders at the beginning. It was very powerful. And I've been critical over the years of Flip Saunders as a coach. I felt like the Detroit Pistons would have won more titles if they had kept Larry Brown as coach, and I just didn't feel like Flip was up to par. And I didn't think much of his Minnesota coach, his tenure in Minnesota either. But what you can't deny is the outpouring of respect and love from the people that knew Flip. Kevin Garnett in particular, we saw the Instagram post of him sitting in Flip Saunders' parking spot looking at the Flip Saunders name tag or name plate. Just everybody really loved this guy, man. Everybody really loved this guy. And you know what? It just speaks to what type of person he is, that people, when they met him and when they dealt with him, they're just this sad that he's gone. I'm going to tell you, Sage Steele, she was just trying to ask Doug Collins to talk about Flip Saunders, and her voice was cracking. It was you don't see this kind of emotion that often when people pass on. Obviously from friends and family, but I mean when it's somebody in the public eye, like an athlete or a coach, and the people that work with them, they don't usually react this emotionally. So it was good to see that both the Lakers and the Timberwolves had these custom-made T-shirts commemorating Flip, and they had a nice video at the beginning of the game. So it was very, very powerful. But then on top of that, again, the historical perspective here. We had Kobe Bryant in his 20th season in the league. And hey, man, this is 20 years, hard minutes, long playoff runs, championships. Kobe Bryant, 20 years. Kevin Garnett, one of the hardest working guys to ever lace up basketball shoes, in his 21st season in the starting lineup. So these two guys are facing off against each other. And remember Kobe Bryant, the statements that he's made about calling Kevin Garnett, and that being an inspiration for him coming right out of high school and coming into the NBA and making the decision to forego a college or a stint in the NCAA. So these are two players that are tied together in a way personally, but also their careers are tied together, because for most of Kevin Garnett's career, he's been staring across at Kobe Bryant. So these two legendary top 5 at their position all time, both of these players, these are legends right here, man. And they're facing off against each other with 20 years in Kevin Garnett's case, 21 years. And then on top of that, one more thing. This was the first time that a number 1 and number 2 pick debuted against each other on opening night. Karl-Anthony Towns for the Minnesota Timberwolves and D'Angelo Russell for the Los Angeles Lakers. So there was all kinds of little bits of history and trivia going on just in the opening. And again, I posted that on Instagram at SBA4String, so you can check that out. But to get to the actual game, if it hadn't been for Ricky Rubio of all people, this would have been a very forgettable blasé game. But what we may have actually seen here is we may have actually seen the coming out party for a future star in Ricky Rubio. I'm going to tell you, he looked fantastic. He looked fantastic. Decision making, knowing not just that he was making jump shots. And we know Ricky Rubio cannot shoot at all. There was a play a couple years back. Kevin Love was going for a triple-double. Drops a beautiful dime to Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio took a wide-open 15-footer, and it hit the backboard on the other side. So it went over the rim and then hit the glass on the other side and went out of bounds. This dude was one of those may not be able to stand in the backyard and throw a basketball in a pool type of player. But this is the beauty of hard work, and this is why you can be whatever type of player you want to be. And Ricky Rubio has shown that he's willing to put in that work. He was coming off screens, pulling up. His form, still terrible, but he worked on it, knocking that jump shot down. And the beauty is he's coupling this decision-making with his already kind of instinctive, court vision and passing ability. He was beautiful all night. He was on the attack on D'Angelo Russell. He treated dude with no respect, none. And it's a beautiful thing. So Ricky Rubio, career night, 28 points and 14 assists. He was getting after it. It was great to watch. Karl-Anthony Towns. This is a future star in the making. Karl-Anthony Towns, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 6 of 10 from the field. Just a really nice, solid game. The Lakers, we have another future star on our hands. Los Angeles Lakers, Julius Randle. Julius Randle, 15 points and 11 rebounds. And here's what I liked about Julius Randle's game. He wasn't terribly efficient tonight. He missed some jump shots. He didn't have a perfect game. What I like about him is the tenacity, the ferocity. Julius Randle is the type of dude, he's the type of dude, he's yelling mouse in the house. When he sees a dude, and I don't mean when he just sees a dude, a guard or something. He just sees a dude that may be even bigger than him. Some guy came in the game, never heard of this guy. Supposedly he was EuroLeague Player of the Year. Mike Tirico was making a big deal out of that. He said it like 6 times. I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of the guy. But, man, that guy they matched up him on Julius Randle. And Julius Randle he catches a pass from Roy Hibbert and just bully balled and put this dude in the rim. Just bullied him. And that's the kind of dude Julius Randle is. When he sees a guy that can't match up that physicality, he's going to put a shoulder into him, knock him out the way, and dunk on him. Julius Randle is a mean dude. I see why Kobe said about him what he did. He said he's like a cross between Zach Randolph and Lamar Odom. Kobe Bryant, he's strangely perceptive that way, where he can just kind of throw these comparisons out there, and you look at it and you say, man, it's funny that you would say that, because, yeah, that is like what it is. It's like if you took that kind of perimeter Swiss Army knife type of Lamar Odom skill set and then put it in skill set and athletic ability, and then put it in the mind of Zach Randolph, but still have that, strength and power. It is like a cross between the two players. So that's very interesting that he would make that observation, because that's kind of what I see out of the dude as well. There were good things going on for the Lakers all night. The Lakers, look, let's not get it confused. This is not a good team, okay? The Lakers are not any good. They're not going to the playoffs. None of that is happening. This is one of those things where I'm going to say, roll my footage and go back to this and say, when the Lakers are out of, mathematically eliminated, I'm going to go, see, I told you. But they at least have a real roster now. And there are things here that if you're a Laker fan, you can tune in, you can actually watch it. Obviously, Kobe Bryant is there. He's going to be exciting. He put up a whole lot of shots and he missed a whole lot of shots. But he was still entertaining, still active. And it's always great to see the legend get after it. Just like it's great to see Kevin Garnett get after it. Kevin Garnett put up a couple air balls. Like, Kevin Garnett had a really weird game, because in some ways he looks really good, and then in other ways he just looks like a shell of his former self. But he was 2 of 4 and had 4 points. He had his 7 rebounds and a block. And I'll tell you what, when he was in the game, it was very difficult for Los Angeles to score. When he's in the game, the way his defense, still to this day, he's still one of the best defenders at his position. It's amazing. He's basically a basketball genius, is basically what he is. He just understands the angles and how to economically always be in the way of whatever the offense is trying to do. But back to Kobe Bryant, like Kevin Garnett, it's just fun to watch them do their thing. They're just entertaining. They have basketball charisma, even when they're doing stuff and it's not working. It just looks fun to watch. So Kobe Bryant is out there. Roy Hibbert gave a really, really strong effort. Roy Hibbert was rock solid tonight. Rock solid. He was solid on the glass. His defense was good as always. He was he was out there drawing a lot of fouls. He was banging the offensive glass. He was just playing a good, solid, good. You know what he was doing? He was being a good, solid center like he's supposed to be. So and then of course, and then Lou Williams and Nick Young, the energy off the bench, guys that are the microwave Vinnie Johnson type of scoring off the bench. And I'm gonna tell you, Nick Young, not a fan. I don't like all the silliness and the goofiness, but I'll tell you, Nick has been on his best behavior. He really has. And what I mean by behavior, I mean he's running the sets, taking good shots, being disciplined on the court. Nick Young has been playing really well. Lou Williams, electric, man. He comes off the bench, and I call him Jamal Crawford Jr. He's a guy that can go out there and just gets buckets. However you want to get it. He can go to the basket. He finishes with either hand. He hits contested jump shots. Obviously he's a good spot up 3-point shooter. Lou Williams just gives it to you any way you want to. He had a clutch 3. It was wide open, but he had a clutch 3 to get the Lakers right there on the edge. And then he gets a layup. Now, it was a tough finish because he had to finish over the top of the center. It was a tough finish, but it bangs off back iron and comes out. Lakers lose. But Lou, again, very entertaining night. The only guy that did not play for the Minnesota Timberwolves was Andre Miller. I did want to see Andre Miller. It's just fun to watch a dude that's like 6'2", back down 6'8" guys. So it's fun to watch Andre Miller play, but he didn't get in the game. The one thing that I thought was very disappointing for the Minnesota Timberwolves was Zach LaVine's play. Zach LaVine's got to do better. He's just got to do better because he has so much talent. And this team, if for them to make the next step, this team is going to for them to make the next step. This team is going to have obviously Andrew Wiggins play great, Ricky Rubio play great, Karl-Anthony Towns play great, and Zach LaVine play great. They're going to need that. They're going to need him to play great. And notice I didn't mention Pekovic because I don't think Pekovic will ever be healthy again. So they should trade him or whatever happens when a player just doesn't really play anymore. But I don't think Pekovic will ever be healthy again. But those 4 guys, those guys are going to make up the core. So I need Zach LaVine to actually make his open jump shots. And I need Zach LaVine to play good defense. Zach LaVine he was really bad on defense tonight. And I know he can do better. So I would like to see more out of him. Andrew Wiggins, I thought, was fine. Andrew Wiggins, he didn't shoot well, but I thought Wiggins was fine tonight because overall, I think he made decent decisions, and I think that he played good defense, especially when he was matched up against Kobe Bryant. So I think the move to shooting guard may be fine for him because he seems to have the quickness where he can get away with it. I was worried about his quickness in the matchup with Jordan Clarkson, but he held his own. He moves his feet very well for a guy who's, around 6'9". So Andrew Wiggins' shooting guard may work for them. The question is, were his offensive woes due to his move to guard, or was it just an off night for him? Obviously, the season's going to tell the tale there. So it was good to see Byron Scott and Sam Mitchell have real rosters to deal with. In the past, last year, watching Byron Scott with that D-League roster was just terrible. It was terrible, and he looked miserable. He looked miserable, and he was very short with the media, and he was just a surly guy. And you understand, because you're going out there and you just aren't equipped to deal with opposing teams. You just don't have the horses. And with the Minnesota Timberwolves on an emotional night, it was good to see Sam Mitchell lead this team to victory, again, behind a career night from Ricky Rubio, who just looked spectacular. Welcome to the NBA, D'Angelo Russell, because it isn't going to get any easier from here in the West, going against Ricky Rubio. It's not going to get any easier. As I said, about Tony Parker in the Spurs recap, you got to deal with Mike Conley Jr., you got to deal with the MVP Stephen Curry, you got to deal with the best point guard in basketball in Chris Paul, and you have to deal with a cyborg in Russell Westbrook. So that's your life now. So it doesn't get any easier from Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio really put a whooping on you. So Minnesota Timberwolves on a historic night, on an emotional night, honoring Flip Saunders over the LA Lakers, 112-111. If you liked the videos, man, make sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, we're on Twitter, SBA4THSTRING. That's SBA4 at SBA4string. Man, follow us, man. We got all kinds of stuff going on. I'm always posting highlights and live tweeting these games. We're just having a good time talking basketball, having a lot of fun. So, if you got any questions, comments, think my predictions are stupid, whatever, drop it in the comments, man. I always want to talk basketball. It's SBA 4string, and you know that.
What up, Eli? Where was I? Oh yes, Sean Carter is nice, but Sean Price is the best. Sean gone, no Sean Dawn. Sean is a dawn I don't